So here we are in our first episode of 2020. I hope you all had a great holiday break and Happy New Year. But for our first episode of 2020, we're gonna look back at 2019, which was an incredible year for film. It really was just gift after gift for film lovers. So today we're gonna take a look at some of our must-watch films of 2019. Now we do this every year, but usually we're calling it the best films of the year. But more and more lately, I just think the idea of best and worst is just stupid. Art and entertainment is subjective, and although we always point that out and say how this is a list of just our personal favorites, which will include things you don't agree with and won't have some stuff that you personally loved. Again, because it's subjective. So we just wanted to shift the title to reflect that a lot more. And I think as a whole, as film lovers, there needs to be a change in how we talk about and respond to art and entertainment, but that's a talk for another day. Let's jump right into the fun stuff with our must-watch list of 2019, which we have in order of release. First up is Shazam. This one is directed by David F. Sandberg and a much welcome release from the usual darkness of the DC universe. It had a super fun, really lighthearted approach to a DC superhero film. Next is Shadow, which technically was released in 2018, but not in America until 2019, so it still works, and I'm putting it here. Plus, it gives me an excuse to tell you to watch it because it is just flat out awesome, especially the visuals. It's absolutely gorgeous. The way that the production design meshed with the cinematography is really unbelievable, so definitely put this high on your list. Then we have John Wick, Chapter 3. The action in this one alone makes it a must-see. There are some sequences that are just downright insane, and Keanu Reeves and Halle Berry are absolutely badass. I'm not gonna say anything about the action sequences because there's some stuff in there that I found very surprising and satisfying, so just, watch it. Then we have The Last Black Man in San Francisco, directed by Joe Talbot, stars Jimmy Fails and Jonathan Majors, and the leads in this film is really one of the things I love the most about it. That and the cinematography. I mean, pause it on any frame and you have a painting. It was absolutely gorgeous. Another film from A24, which A24, as I just keep saying constantly, is absolutely killing it lately. Then we have our first animated film with Toy Story 4, and in usual Pixar fashion, this is a heartwarming, very funny addition to the Toy Story franchise. So, watch it and Then we have a film that I watched about 4 times last year, and that's Midsommar, directed by Ari Aster, who's one of the most interesting filmmakers to come out recently, in my opinion. And right now you have the director's cut and the theatrical cut out there that you could watch. In my opinion, I like the director's cut far more. It dives in a little bit more into the characters and the story as a whole, but both cuts are fantastic. I originally watched the theatrical before the director's and I absolutely adored it. It is a strange and disturbing film, but if you like The Witch or Hereditary, you're gonna like this one as well. Then we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed by Quentin Tarantino, of course, and starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and a ton of others. It's funny and interesting with amazing all the things that you expect from a Tarantino film, you're gonna get in this film, but I would say that this probably lands in top 3 Tarantino films for me, and as usual with his films, it's just gorgeous. Next up, we have the first one on the list that I have not seen, but Josh has, because this is a Film Riot list, not just my list, and that's the Peanut Butter Falcon, which he says feels like the return of Shia LaBeouf, which has me very excited to see it. He's an incredible actor, so having him back doing great films it's just the best. But as for this film, he says you're never not smiling, and it's just wonderful from front to back with an excellent cast, so I will definitely be seeing this one very soon. Then we have a film that easily lands in my top 5, if not top 3 of 2019, and that is The Farewell, directed by Lulu Wang, which is a story based off of something that happened to her in her real life, and it is just a wonderful hug of a film front to back. I really adored this film. It's something that you can relate to, and at times it felt like you weren't really watching a movie, you were just invited to dinner with her and her family. It was extremely well told, and another great one from A24. Then we have Dolemite Is My Name, directed by Craig Brewer, who I really love as a director. Black Snake Moan and Hustle and Flow were both really great films. This one stars Eddie Murphy, and for me, is sort of a return from Eddie Murphy, and it's just a great and wild story, and it's on Netflix, so if you have Netflix, you're already paying for it, so you might as well watch it anyway, because technically you're paying for the film. After that, we have Joker, directed by Todd Phillips, which is just one of the most visually striking films on the whole list. The way that they shot this, the lenses that they used, I'll be watching this over and over again, just studying that aspect, but also the performance from Joaquin Phoenix was just insane. If he doesn't win the Oscar, I don't know. Moving back to Netflix with The King, pretty much everything about this one is solid. The acting, the story, the pacing, the war sequences. It's just a really well-crafted film and one that I haven't seen yet. Those are Josh's words, not mine. Little twist ending for you there. Next, we have a film I have seen, which is Parasite, directed by Bong Joon-ho, and this is just a fantastic film. Wash out any preconceived ideas of what you think this film might be out of your brain. It's constantly and effortlessly changing what it is, and just the setups and payoffs are fantastic. It's such a tight and I can't think of a single thing that could be removed from that film. Absolutely everything means something to the characters, to the story, to the theme, and just to the overall pacing of the film. It is one of the most well-constructed films of the year by far. Then we have one of the most wonderfully strange films on the list, which is The Lighthouse. It's directed by Robert Eggers, and just at the end of the film, I was so happy that a film this odd and on the outskirts of normal commercial film could exist, that I just wanted to go and hug A24 as a whole. And Robert Eggers is another one of the most interesting filmmakers that are out there currently. The performances in the film are incredible. The cinematography is fantastic. Be warned, it does get very strange. So if you're not into that sort of thing, you might not love it. But for the performances and cinematography alone, I say watch it. Then again from Netflix, The Irishman, directed by Martin Scorsese. And there's really nothing we really need to say about this film that hasn't already been plastered absolutely everywhere. And it's Martin Scorsese. So I don't really need to say more. Again, from Netflix, who, like A24, is clearly just killing it lately, we have Marriage Story, which is just such an honest telling of a situation like this. Everything in the film, from the performances to the dialogue, just felt like it was just pulled from real life. And it was not such a cynical look at a situation like this, just a very honest look at how something like this could go. And I really appreciate that from the film. It didn't feel like it had to over-exaggerate anything. Life by itself is dramatic enough. And the performances, just good God. Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver were both incredible, probably career bests for both of them. Then we have Jojo Rabbit, directed by Taika Waititi, and it's just another heartfelt film, and one that jumps around tone quite a bit. At times you're laughing out loud, and at others you are crying. And again, with Scarlett Johansson, another wonderful performance from her and the young cast as well. And it has probably one of the most genius filmmaker moments I've seen. Just a reveal that was such a brilliant directorial moment that it's just worth the whole film just for that. Next, we have another film that I haven't seen, but Josh has, and it kills me that I haven't seen it yet, and that is Honey Boy, which yet again stars Shia LaBeouf, and it was also written by him and about his life, so it's a whole lot of Shia LaBeouf. Josh says the acting across the board in this one is really solid, and the director, Alma, did a really wonderful job juggling 3 different stages in LaBeouf's life, so it's one that the second it pops up on streaming, I'll be watching. And once again, we have something from Netflix, and this one is instantly one of the greatest Christmas films I've ever seen, and that is Klaus. It's just another hug of a movie. It's absolutely gorgeous to look at, traditional animation that is really, really beautiful, but also just a beautiful and funny film that's incredibly well told. Then we have Ford v Ferrari, which is directed by James Mangold and is another one that I haven't seen, but Josh has, starring Matt Damon and Christian Bale, and the 3 names that I just said is pretty much everything I really need to say. I think James Mangold is absolutely brilliant, and another one that is easily within my favorite directors list, so I'll be seeing this one as soon as possible as well. Next is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and I'm not going to spend much time here because it's easy to sell. Tom Hanks plays Mr. Rogers, so there you go. Then we have Knives Out, written and directed by one of my favorite filmmakers, Rian Johnson. I just think everything he puts out is, pretty brilliant, constantly pushing expectations and trying to subvert the norm. And the cast is fantastic too. It's just a really cleverly written and funny film. And another one that Josh saw and I haven't, which is Little Women, directed by Greta Gerwig. And it's one that I'm dying to see because I think she is incredibly talented and the cast looks fantastic as well. Then we have the last one I haven't seen on the list, and I'm really deep in the box of shame for not having seen this one, and that is 1917, directed by Sam Mendes. And this one, Josh says, is an absolute must-watch because, and I quote, holy shit. He says it's a technical masterclass with so many portions of the film that you can't help but just be in awe at what you're looking at that they pulled off. And of course, you have Roger Deakins. I'm dying to see it. I kind of want to stop filming this so I can go do that. Then we have possibly my favorite film of 2019, and that's Uncut Gems, directed by Josh and Benny Safdie and starring Adam Sandler. and is just so incredible from a directing standpoint, writing standpoint, acting standpoint, just everything. But the amount of tension the Safdie brothers were able to put on screen and maintain from frame 1 to the final frame was just insane, and they were able to do it without you feeling the fatigue of that constant tension, and they made a 2+ hour film feel like an hour and a half. And that's what they said in one of the interviews, that conceptually this was an hour-and-a-half film, and it really did feel that way. It was so tight and well constructed. Just everything about the film was brilliant, from the writing to the finishing. It's just incredible. Plus, easily a career best from Adam Sandler. There was so much nuance and subtlety that he put into pretty much every scene, holding everything back and internalizing it, only seeing it through his eyes until you weren't. And I just thought he was absolutely brilliant in the film. So go out and watch that immediately. Support smaller, strange films like this and Lighthouse and anything else that you can, so we're not just getting the blockbuster films all the time. I do love the blockbusters, they're on here, but films like this are a dime a dozen, so go out and support them. Big thank you to MusicBed for sponsoring this episode, and again, hooking us up with all the great music that you've heard in today's episode and most of our episodes that we put out recently. They have thousands of songs from hundreds of different artists with a wide variety of genres, which let you find pretty much anything you're looking for. Their subscription plan also gives you unlimited access to all of that high quality music and still allows you to monetize. You all know that I've been using MusicBed for years now, and they are by far one of my favorite places to get music for production. Of course, you can try it out for yourself by going to the link in the description below, and I put another link there for a playlist that I use for writing the feature I'm currently working on. So it's something that you can go once you have your subscription and put together playlists or projects that can even just be inspiration for the project you're currently working on, like I'm doing for There Comes a Knocking. So definitely check out those links in the notes below. So that's it for today. Those are our must-watch films of 2019, but of course, there's plenty of great films that aren't on our list, and I would love to make the list even longer and add some other films that I really loved from the year. So I want to hear from you guys. Post in the comments below to tell us what are some of the films that we might not have added that were some of your favorites from 2019. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.